set camp up. I don't think I'm going to use the floor on this one because I've kind of got a bad angle. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do out here. And I'm on an angle and I've got some rocks over in this corner, so rather than putting up the floor and risking puncturing a hole in it and beating up that floor, I'm just gonna put up the tent, sleep on the ground, go floorless. Alright, camp is set. Nothing too pretty, but it is all we can work with this tight space. That's the only drawback to a teepee tent, is they do have quite a big footprint, but we're gonna make it work. I've got my double wide pad, which has been awesome. And then I've got my Peaks Solace 15 bag, which is perfect for anything around that 15-degree mark. I've had a couple snowy nights and stayed plenty warm in there. So bag, pad, gear will go over there tonight. Got my food propped up there. I'll upload a photo right here showing you exactly what I packed. This is what I packed in for a potential 3-day backpacking trip. But this is what solo camp is going to look like out here looking for elk sheds. Let's go find some. Initial impressions of the area. I don't think there's a high density of elk at all. I haven't seen very much poop. I mean, this is kind of what the poop looks like right now. At the most, I'm getting a couple droppings like that here and there. Has good brush, has some, I believe this would be manzanita, and I call this like buck brush. Got some cedar trees, good yellow grass. A few of the things I look for when I first get into an area. The first thing is poop. Second thing is tracks that are the correct age, and then rubs and elk themselves. So my reasoning behind that is if you're seeing piles of big elk poop, that means they were living in an area. So if you're seeing that consistently, that's when I feel comfortable to grid and spend a lot of time in one spot, because you know the elk have been there. But if you're not seeing poop, they probably haven't really been living there. They're just passing through. Right now, the strategy is kind of just walk down and hit some water. And in this desert terrain, I feel like water is a big deal. So if I could hit some water, see what the sign looks like, and kind of do a loop below camp and back up today, I feel like I'll have a good idea of what this side of the mountain is holding. This terrain is so interesting. So got some poop and a couple tracks. But I mean, really, there is hardly any sign. So there's obviously elk that live out here. I mean, here's a game trail right above this water, kind of on this shaded slope with tracks on it. But there's just not that much sign in the grand scheme of things. I just have to keep my eyes peeled and hope I can take the right line. Oh guys, sometimes this is all it takes to break the ice. Old, super old chalk antler, but it confirmed the suspicions that there are elk up here. Not convinced that it's going to be killer yet, but there's really good elk sign going up and down this ridge line to this water that's down here. A fresh bed with some pee in it right there. Kind of getting the feeling this is where some cows are, but I could be wrong. You can see their little trails all over, wrapping around through each tree. Hey, there's another shed. Oh, look at that. Got us another one. That's probably, if I had to guess, the match to the chalk that was up there. This one's a little bit better shape, given the fact that it was sitting up here in the shade. That's an old antler. You can see it's falling apart. It's about all you could ask for though when you're up here trying a new spot, is just something to keep you in the game and stay motivated until you can pinpoint where the sheds are for this year. Well, just crossed that spring. See that? That's an elk track, but that is a cow. if I had to guess. I have seen some bull tracks though. Maybe just one. I'm gonna follow these trails because I would assume this trail is going from water to bedding, which would be around the corner in this shade. Caught a glimpse of some tines chilling down there. Looks like a goofy antler, but let's go pick it up. Just a little one. Kind of a goofy genetic. Chewed up really bad. Just a young bull. Little tiny bull. Funny how close that third grows to his second. But just a raghorn, chewed up. Not in good shape. So I'm not even gonna pack it. Got a few solid options tonight. I got 3 slices of pizza, and then I'm gonna do a couple of these sausages with a tortilla. That should be a pretty good dinner and fill me up for a big hike tomorrow. Good morning, guys. It's a new day. So far, I feel much better. Yesterday, I was not in a good mood, to be honest. I was being pretty wimpy. But sometimes when you're not in the zone, you just know you're not there and you're just wasting time. And that's how the last 3 days of hiking have felt. But I've got my first set of sheds. Got a nice coos deer set, though. This one looks like a maybe 2-year-old antler. Maybe last year's, so he's hard white, a little bit cracked right there. And then the other side is right on this log, but it looks like it got chewed up pretty good. And once those critters get to him and start chewing them up, it really weathers them away. But the one side's worth packing out, that's cool. Saw a couple coos deer first light coming out of the tent, and then got a set. Well, my worst fear has happened. I got out on this crazy far south face and can't see a single bit of sign, not a track, not a poop, not a rub, and I mean nothing from even last year. But I got out here on this point and glassed about 1.5 miles away, and I glassed up a chalk white antler. So there are elk out here, probably scattered. There is water that direction, so I don't know if maybe that's a lead and it'll take me to a spot where there's more. I doubt it, but I'm all this way in. I think I gotta go check it out and at least look at it. Pretty sure that the eclipse is going on right now. I mean, obviously I can't look at the sun, but I can still see it. But it's definitely dark. You know, kind of like a gloomy, overcast, dull look, which I'm not complaining about as I'm going up this freaking hot, desolate face here. But that antler should just be right up here in this saddle. So we're gonna go check it out right now. Here's what glassing up this antler tells me. With it being right on the spine of this ridge, there's not really anyone coming out here. Problem is I'm not seeing elk sign either. Even like old elk sign. So that tells me that it could just be a pretty random shed. It's old, it's chalky, chewed up, piece of junk. Look at that ugly G2. Goofy bull. Exactly what you would imagine being out here, just crummy genetics. If there's one thing I've learned about shed hunting, it's don't waste your time in areas that aren't producing. I spent the day hiking back to camp, breaking it down, and then hit the road for 2 hours in hopes to get into a little bit better area. Trying out a new area. Got camp set up, and it's been pretty windy, but it's turned out to be a nice evening. Rained a little bit throughout the day, but that was good for the hike up, keeping me cool. I'm just glassing around tonight. I've picked out a few chalk, but nothing worth going and picking up. You could tell they're old and worn out antlers, but I glassed up one, I think a 5-point over here I'm gonna go get, and on my way to it, looked down and saw what could be a good antler, so I'm gonna see if I can skirt these cliffs and pick it up here. Pretty good one. No, it's been there a little while. Definitely not last year's. It's chalk. Cool bowl. Kind of a 5-point with some nice first, seconds, and thirds. But yeah, he's been up here a few years, chalked out. You can see that texture there. They start to get flaky. Pretty solid antler though. I mean, stayed almost hard white on this side. Had a great front end and then just kind of peters out into a 5-point in the back, but it's a nice bull. Now that is what you want to see. It is crazy how antlers can just hide if you don't have the right angle. Headed over to pick up the first little 5-point that I glassed up. I just looked down and there's a big old side-by-side set laying there. It's a hard white, it looks like. So that sucks. It's probably going to be chewed up, but it looks like a big bull. I haven't even put my big 5-point on my backpack yet. Look at that. Big old 6-point left side. There's his right. I can see that it's brown on the bottom, white and chewed a little bit on the top. So it definitely is last year's. Laying right there, dang. Let's go get them. So I just came from that hillside over there. It's a little bit washed out. And just from this tree here and this little mound in front of me, that's what covered it up. But what a nice big old 6-point set right there. That is awesome. Almost looks like 2 different bulls with that genetic, but has to be a set. That's nice after not finding much on my last couple pushes. Oh man, that would have been a sweet brown set to find. That's a big, pretty antler right there. Big base on him. But yeah, those critters get in here and they just start chewing that outer layer. Makes them wear down a lot faster. That is a big bull. Type of bulls that you come out here to find right there. A lot prettier on this left side, but pretty sweet bull. Big fronts, heavy bases. I mean, look at this mass. Still nice and dark on this side. Pretty cool. That makes this whole push worth it if this is all we find. Just making our way over to the other shed I glassed up. I want to show you this though. So this is about what 1-year-old poop exactly is going to look like. That's older right there, white, but a little bit of brown and white mocha. That's going to be 1-year-old poop. If it was all dark, it would be within the year. I already know that, but with this hard white set being right there, that just kind of proves it a little bit more. Let's go see what this bull is. I glassed up with my binos. It didn't look all that big, but never know. I think I can see tines right now. I can see a couple of those tines sticking up there. Get through this grass. Thorns. Oh, that's a better antler than I thought. Whoa, look at that thing. Triple brow. Laying in between the rocks. That is cool. That's a big bull. That's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I couldn't see the main beam back there. Could only see it hook there. And I couldn't make out that triple brow. I just thought, oh, it's going to be a 5-point raghorn. But that is a heavy, mature bull. Dumped it. And it wedged right in between them rocks. That is insane. Big old bases. That's a hard white as well. So these two big bulls were living in here together last year. And that was wedged in there pretty good. And of course, the old critters got to this one too. Big old triple brow bull. That's a neat find. If it wasn't for the dang critters, I know I've already said this, this would be in really good shape, but it'd almost still be brown, just shaded with the way it was laying. But two big bulls living up here side by side, hard white, and then this big triple brow bull. Got about an hour of light left, so I'm gonna get on the back side of this ridge and see if anything shed up on top. I hate hitting the tops because that's where everybody else goes, but sometimes they can get missed. Old elk track. I figured if I got in this thick stuff as I headed back, I'd walk onto something. Just off the beaten path. Looks like a hard white from last year. Maybe 2-year-old antler. Maybe a 2-year-old antler laying in here. Good spot for one. Chewed up a little bit on that G1. I'm gonna go ahead and say that is 2 years old. And I'm even gonna go as far as to say that's the year of that side-by-side set, the year before. But check that out. 2-year-old 6-point laying up here. Might be its other side laying right there. A little bit chewed up. It's either a last year's or year prior. 6-point, smaller 6-point, hard white. There's his other side down there. All chewed up. These dang critters. Gosh, it almost... I guess it is the same bull. Yeah, definitely the same bull. just got way more weathered as the sun hit it. I might go as far to say as this is a 2-year-old set, not a 1-year-old. So 2 years ago. Man, I'm packing out of here. I'm gonna be tested for sure. It was already heavy making this push up. I want to make 2 more pushes, but I don't know if I will. I can get out on this next ridge too, but that'll mean I will have to go down a canyon and up. The other one was if I could go down, up, it'll be 1 shot to the truck. But that's a hell of a hike. We just added another antler to the pile, so we have 8. I put the other one up in the tree.